In this episode, we're going to explore what it means to lose playing the right way. Hey there, I'm Eli Strawman, a performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Now, I got this idea from two different examples of athletes that I'm working with right now that I've had recent coaching calls with. Now, before I get into this episode, though, I do want to mention that if you're interested in one-on-one coaching or the Confident Competitor Academy program, which is an online program, I've put links to both of those in the description below. Now, this first example comes from a downhill skier that I'm currently working with. And he and I were talking about a race that he had this past weekend. Now, during this race, his main goal was not crashing. He had crashed in his previous races, and so he hadn't been able to finish very well. And so that was his main goal, not crash. And he accomplished his goal, right? He got to the end of the race. He didn't crash. He felt very happy about that. However, he came in 31st. So he didn't exactly do very well in terms of the result. Now he has another opportunity this upcoming week to race well, to finish well, and to make it to the finals, because these are two different semifinals that he has to make it to the finals. And so he was saying that because he was keeping himself safe, right, in trying to ski cautiously so that he didn't crash, this limited his speed, and it ended up increasing the time that he got during the race, right? And all this was because he was wanting to not crash. The other example comes from a tennis player that I'm working with, and he was talking to me about a recent match he had this past weekend where he won. But it was during crucial points where he noticed this sort of fear start to set in. And it was the deuce points where things were very, it was very important for him. He needed to win that point. And so then he started to play cautiously, and he just focused on getting the ball over. But unfortunately, when he did that, the chances of him winning the point went down, and he ended up losing most of those points until he kind of changed things for himself during that match. Now, when I was talking to the skier, he was mentioning to me how there's this older skier that he knows and he talks to a lot and he looks up to that either wins the race or crashes. There's really not a whole lot of in between for him. And so then this skier that I'm working with was talking to me about going into his next race, because he does want to make it to the finals. He's going to focus on getting onto the podium instead of not crashing. So he'll change that goal for himself. And he says that this does, naturally increase the chances of him crashing. So there's the potential that he might crash, but there's also the potential that he might come in first, second, or third, because that's how good of a skier he is when he allows himself to just let go and ski fully, and kind of go full speed down the mountain. I was also talking to the tennis player about the same idea, and he was telling me that in these crucial moments, if he can just keep playing aggressively, keep going for his shot and hitting his shot with full speed and hitting it all out, he ends up playing better in these moments. And it was that tennis player that actually gave me this idea for the video, because he mentioned when we were having our conversation that he wanted to lose playing the right way. And I think both of these examples really encompass what it means to lose playing the right way. And I'm not talking about it from a sportsmanship perspective. Of course, that's obviously important to do. You want to win in a dignified way. But what I'm talking about is the way that you play as an individual athlete, the attitude you have, the mindset you have when you play, whether you are playing aggressively or you are holding yourself back. That's what I'm referring to right here. And with that downhill skier, for him, it's, going all out. Yes, there's a risk of crashing, but there's almost a guarantee of not doing very well if he focuses on not crashing and holding himself back. And for him, not crashing, this isn't a huge risk for him. Yes, he can get injured, which naturally there is always that risk there, but it's more about just the frustration of crashing and then not getting to finish the race. And then for the tennis player, it's the frustration of feeling like, I'm the one holding myself back in these important points or during these important points because I'm so scared of losing the point, so then I end up playing cautiously. But he was saying that if he ends up losing the point, he'd rather lose the point playing it all out, playing aggressively, because that also gives him a really good chance of winning that point. So I wanted to make this episode for you so that you can really start thinking about your performance. And you can ask yourself, if you're playing with any fear or any anxiety about losing, when that fear and anxiety is present because it's an important situation within a game or it's an important game in and of itself, are you actually playing in a cautious way? Are you the one holding yourself back? And yes, there's a ton of risk involved in this approach that I'm talking about, but you want to win or you want to lose playing the right way, right? And just like that tennis player example, if you do lose playing the right way, or you think that, all right, if I lose, I want to lose playing the right way, you'll probably lose less points. You'll probably make more shots. You'll probably get more hits. You'll probably play better because you're playing more freely. And I think that's really what it means when these athletes are talking about playing in the right way, right? And losing playing the right way. It's more about playing freely, letting yourself play aggressively, going out there wanting to win, wanting to go after the success you want instead of trying to be cautious. Avoid losing. Avoid making mistakes. Yeah, you don't want to make a ton of mistakes. That's not necessarily the recipe for playing well. But what's the recipe for making a ton of mistakes is trying to avoid making a ton of mistakes. So really ask yourself and examine your game. Are you playing the right way? Are you losing playing the right way? Or are you losing playing cautiously? Because when we play cautiously, we typically hold ourselves back, which then leads to more poor performance, and resulting in the very thing that we don't want. Now, there are certain situations like that downhill skier where his goal in that race was to not crash, and he felt good about that goal, but he also was explaining to me how he then felt disappointed that he didn't finish where he wanted to finish, and that was because he was holding himself back because he simply didn't want to crash. So really think about for yourself, am I playing the right way? And if I'm going to lose, if I'm scared of losing, let me at least do it in the right way, playing aggressively, playing all out, playing freely, instead of playing cautiously and holding myself back. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. And if you're interested in any of the programs I have available, I've put links to those in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.